Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I want you to feel comfortable, and I don't want to make this like super duper like sad. I just want to vent and talk about it, and I want to be able to sit here and talk about these things and talk about this and be okay to talk about it without shriveling up and freaking out and having anxiety about it. It's like, it's okay to talk about, you know what I mean? Like, and unfortunately, a lot of girls can relate to me, and it's fucking unfair and it's not right. And honestly, I just want any of you to know that I love you. You are so strong. They didn't take anything away from you. You are so fucking strong, and you are more than capable of healing from this. And you're not alone. So I just want to have an open discussion about it. And I feel like I have this big, huge, dark secret within me that I just don't want it to be a secret anymore. And I feel like maybe some people will understand me better by telling my story and stuff like that. Like, people always ask me why do you subject yourself to exploiting your body on the internet? Like, why do you over-sexualize yourself? Why do you do this? Like, some people think I'm a whore because I post what I post and act the way that I do. Some people think that I'm a slut and all this, and it's like, in the grand scheme of things, it's like, fuck you. But also, like, before you judge somebody, maybe question and ask yourself, hey, is there a reason why you act this way? Because with me there is, and if there's not, for other women, that's okay too, and you have no right to judge them. But for me, at least, there is a reason why I'm this way, and I just want to have an open discussion and talk about it. So basically, this video is going to be about how being molested has changed my life. So let's talk about it. Okay, obviously, like, major trigger warning. It's really twisted shit. Like, really twisted shit. And so if you're okay to hear about it, we're going to talk about how I over-sexualize myself, why I over-sexualize myself, why I seek male attention, why I over-sexualize myself for men, and just all these things. It's a cause and effect. Because I was molested, it made me do these things. It's like a trauma response, I feel. People think that, like, I'm a whore, like I'm a slut because I post sexual pictures and I act sexual and all this. Like, why do you do that to yourself and stuff like that? And it's like, I was molested from ages 5 through 6 by a very trusted man, and he stripped me of my innocence, and he introduced sex and and a bunch of inappropriate things to me at a very young age. And kids are they're very influential, they're very naive, they're like a sponge. They absorb what they're given. And since I consumed a lot of porn and sex at a very young age, I absorbed that, and it stuck with me. Those acts, it influenced me, and I kept watching those things and kept consuming porn and seeing that. I liked it, and I wanted it, and I was very sexually curious at a very young age. I don't think it's appropriate or normal to be that sexually curious at like 8. So I would watch it on my own time, and I would experiment with like masturbation. It wasn't even because I wanted to pleasure myself or make myself feel good. It was because I was seeing girls online have sex with men and like pleasure themselves and masturbate, and I just wanted to be like them and act like they were, and act like that. So I would just copy them. Like, I didn't get anything out of it. I didn't pleasure myself. I just wanted to act like them. That's how influential little kids are, and it's so scary that like grown-ups take advantage of them like that. But I was a victim to that. Because of this, it like morphed me into a hypersexual person. After that act, after I was essayed and all that and introduced to this world, there was no more being modest for me. There was no more being this saint or innocent. Like, there was none of that for me. I had that taken away from me. It morphed me into a hypersexual person.
Growing up, like, your kid dream job is like a teacher or an astronaut or a dentist. Mine was to be a star. And I wish I was making this up. My eye, like, what is actually going on? I'm scared. But no, like, I did as one people star. I was like, or like a cam girl. Like, I knew what that was too. And I was like, it just seems like the best job in the world. You get paid for like feeling good. Like, literally, wish I was joking. I was like 7.
I'm 19 now, so from ages like 8 or like 7 through 19, I dealt with so much bullshit and so much internalized battles because of that. And what happens when you're essayed or molested and things like that, it's like the abuser will drop a bunch of bullshit and just baggage upon baggage upon baggage onto you, use you, abuse you, and fucking leave you hanging out to dry, and you're just left with all this bullshit you're supposed to just fucking fix just by yourself. And we carry this baggage with us throughout life, and we try to navigate life with all this weight on our shoulders and deal with all this bullshit by ourselves, and it's fucking hard. It's hard to navigate life after experiences like that. I had to deal with that all by myself. I told my mom, but like it was one of those things where it was like I didn't really get into it into detail because it was too uncomfortable for both of us. And it's like she never put me into therapy or anything like that. It was one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm so sorry that happened to you, like let's just like never talk about it again, just like leave it, you know, like sweep it under the rug, because like it's just too uncomfortable to talk about. I mean, I get it. I mean, I guess I get it because it's like it's my mom, and like who wants to talk about these things?
Okay, editing Kahaya right now. I feel like I see where she was coming from, but the more I'm thinking about it, I feel like she was more so protecting herself and not me, because it was too hard for her and things like that. Like she was protecting herself. That's how I feel.
So I don't hold a grudge against my mom for not taking me to therapy. Like, I understand where she was coming from, because I get it. But like, I feel like therapy would have helped me tremendously, because I dealt with so many internal battles because of it, and I had to deal with all this shit by my fucking self. I dealt with a lot of like issues concerning like sex and even like religion too. So it was like I developed like this masturbation addiction and porn addiction, and in the midst of all that, I was a Christian, so I was religious, and we were taught that being lustful is bad, and that the Bible tells us that like all this stuff is evil and for sinners and all that. And so I felt like just the most evil fucking person in the world for wanting these things and for doing these things. I thought I was gonna go to hell, and it gave me the worst fucking anxiety, and I dealt with that for years. Another thing that I forgot to mention that I wanted to talk about that was really important, even though I was like really young, it didn't register that, like that didn't register for me. So I blamed myself. I thought that I was the problem, and I like for what happened to me, and I thought that I was the bad guy, and I literally blamed myself for engaging with him for years until I was 17 years old, was when I was like, this is not my fault. I was the child. I was the victim. But for years, literally, I blamed myself because I knew it was wrong. Like, even though I was 5, I knew what we were doing was wrong, but I did it anyways. And it's like, it didn't register to me that there was manipulation involved, and there was abuse involved, and there was a dominance, a power, a hierarchy involved, and there was like a power dynamic. I was the victim, and that I didn't do anything wrong. I was the naive child that was taken advantage of by a grown man. Holding that guilt and that shame, that shamefulness inside you for years, for like 11 years, is a lot. That shit is heavy as fuck. To blame yourself for your own molestation is sick, and to not see yourself as a victim for so long, it's insane. I didn't even bring up the word molestation or even think about the word until like a year and a half ago, like until I was like 18. I was like whoa, like I literally was, it didn't even register at all. Like I was so busy hating myself and putting the blame on myself that I didn't even take a second to step back and be like, I'm the victim. Like I'm the victim here. You know what I mean? Like that shit was heavy, and it was hard. It feels so freeing to say that I was the victim and that it was not my fault. And also to some, especially to people who don't believe in God and stuff like that, it's like, if you're religious or if you're a Christian or anything like that, it's like, you know how heavy it is to like feel like you're gonna go to hell. Like there's so much fear in religion as a whole, I feel like, but like when you do a sin that is like irreversible, like not anything like heinous, but like having sex before marriage or like having kids out of wedlock, things that are like not terrible sins, but they're irreversible, like they're like irreversible. Living with that fear that you did a irreversible sin is so fucking scary, and it's so much anxiety just in your head. Like, will he forgive me? Will he accept me? Will he this? Like, religious guilt and religious trauma is so real, and it's such a thing, because like you truly think that if you do something wrong, you're gonna go to hell and be burned and tortured for all eternity, and you can't even take take back the sin that you did. It's really scary and it's hard. And once again, I was a child thinking this thing. I was a child thinking that I was gonna be damned and tortured and sent to hell for all eternity for something that was not my fault. I got so angry because I was like, if he never would have done this to me, I wouldn't have to deal with this bullshit. And I would just get so mad sometimes. I'm just like, why me? Like, why did he do this shit to me? I feel like therapy would have helped me tremendously because I dealt with that shit by my fucking self. I had to fight off these battles by my fucking self for years. And it's like, now that I'm getting older, I'm understanding that like I'm a hypersexual person, point blank period. Although he made me a hypersexual person because of what he showed me, that's who I am, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I used to think about it in such a negative light, a bad light, and I had so much religious guilt, and I hated myself for it. I hated myself for wanting these things. I hated myself for having such a high sex drive and for wanting all these sexual desires. I hated myself for it. And now that I'm older, through healing, I'm flipping that narrative and making it into something positive and understanding that being a hypersexual person is not a bad thing, and sex does not have to be a bad thing either. Because I had a bad introduction to sex and a negative introduction to sex, and I associate sex with being such a bad thing, I'm once again flipping it, and I'm understanding that sex does not always have to be a bad thing. And the way I was introduced to it was very unfortunate and not right, but sex can also be very beautiful and empowering, and so can being a hypersexual person. There's nothing wrong with having a high drive and wanting to feel sexy and look sexy and exude sexual energy and masturbate and understand your body and find out what you like and what you don't like and pleasure yourself. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm also making a transition from Christianity to spirituality, and also once again understanding that sex is in our human nature. And you know, there's something called built up sexual tension when like you want you haven't experienced or pleasured yourself or pleased yourself in a long time, and you have that sexual frustration and built up tension. And if there's another person who may be feeling the same way and also has sexual tension, you are both consenting adults and want to, you know, release that sexual tension together, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And especially masturbation is a very healthy way and the safest way to release tension on your own, and also to understand your body and to find out what you like and what you don't like. And I feel like it's very empowering to please yourself as well. Do the thoughts still creep up inside me every now and again and make me feel bad for it? Absolutely, but not as much as they used to. It's more, I feel more free, and I still have some healing to do with that subject. The next subject, why I constantly seek male validation and I people please hella, especially when it comes to like men and relationships and things like that, and why I seek male attention and why I over-sexualize myself for male attention sometimes. And once again, it all trails back to major trigger warning. I'm going to be actually talking about some experiences I've had with him. So unfortunately, he would do this to other little girls too, and I knew that he would. And when it came to him, he never forced me to do anything with him. It was like I was manipulated and into thinking that what I was doing was, I knew it was like wrong, but once again, I was a child and I was very naive, and he took advantage of that and abused me through my, you know, innocence. And it more so felt like, to me, like it was like a relationship, and how I wanted him, and how like anytime that he would engage with these other girls, I felt jealous. Like I would get jealous. Like it's just so fucked up. It's so fucked. It's so twisted, this entire thing. But it's the truth. Like I would literally like get jealous when he would engage with other girls, so I would do it with him the most, so he would like me the most. And I felt like the more I sexualized myself for him, and the more I vocalized that I wanted to do more sexual acts with him, it pleased him, and he liked me the most, and he wanted to do it with me the most. And it did something for me, that he wanted me to feel wanted, you know, and accepted, like I was one of the big kids type shit. Like I felt like it made me feel good to please him, even if it was at the expense of like my comfortability, you know what I mean? I carried that with me. And so I feel like that is a very big component as to why I am a people pleaser, especially when it comes to men, and I seek male attention and male validation. So it's like throughout high school, like I didn't know the difference between, there was a blurred line between sexual attraction and true feelings, like intimate, deep feelings. I didn't know the difference between the two. I thought that every single time a guy expressed sexual attraction to me, I thought that he liked me. And so, which is not fucking true at all. There's a difference between sexual attraction and real genuine attraction and feelings. They're two different things. Like the faster you learn the difference, the better off you'll be, trust me. And it's like, so I would like send nudes and like text with guys all the time and like over like myself so I can reel them in, because the more that I did that, the more guys would talk to me and show me attention. And every single guy that I was like, that I would send to and things like that, I liked. And I thought that by giving them what they want and making them happy sexually, it would in turn make me happy, which is not true. And I learned that now, and I know that now. And it's like every single time that I would get male attention and they would express to me, like they would sexualize me and objectify me basically, it made me feel good it literally made me feel good that I was fuckable, that guys wanted to fuck me. And it did something for me, but it was a temporary high. In the long run, I always knew deep down inside that I wanted more. Like I wanted a true real connection, something real with these guys, and all they wanted from me was sex. But I didn't know that then that that's what I truly wanted. I just knew that like temporarily it made me feel good, but at the end of the day I'd feel like shit because they would just come and go, you know what I mean? Like nobody would ever stay. And so now that I know and I realized that all along that was not fulfilling for me. It didn't do anything for me truly. All along I really truly wanted was like love, connection, something real and something deep. The past taught me that that was the only way to do it, or that was the way to go about it, which was not. And that's me now healing and understanding and unlearning those toxic patterns and finally finding out what I truly want and desire. And I feel like even back then with that man, I truly just wanted to be wanted more than anything. I feel like my intentions were still like pure with everything. And I feel like that even now my intentions are still very pure. Like even though I would do the whole sexual shit, I truly wanted something pure, which was love and something real. And it's like I feel like some guys would even take advantage of that, because I would even vocally say, hey, like I want something real with you, even though I would still send them things because they asked for it, because once again I wanted to please them and make them feel happy, because I thought that that was gonna fill my cup up, and it didn't. So it's like I was still like, I would do things for them at the expense of my comfortability again. And it's like I would literally be like, hey, like I want like something real and like romantic with you more, and they would know that. But like, and they like, some of them knew that they had a hold over me, so they would use that to their advantage and get what they want out of me and like use me in a way. And it was just so sad, because it's like I know it's not right, but I still engage, because like I'm just like hoping that it can morph and turn into something beautiful, you know, like maybe through like being sexual they could see me in a different light and be like, damn, like basically first, personality after. Like I feel like guys were only interested in me because of my physical attraction and because of my body and things like that. And once they did that, then that would break the shell and they would actually like get to know me. And that's just like, no, like that's not normal and that's not real and that's not how good relationships start. You know what I mean? Like that's not what should be the first thing on their mind. Hurt my feelings so bad, because there were some guys who I genuinely liked so much, and I thought that if I sent them these pictures and I was with them, it would get them to like me for me. But taking naked pictures of yourself and being sexual with a guy is not showing him who you are. There's no personality there at all. There's nothing. It's very just it's nothing. There's no chemistry there for me, that like I like feel like I just won't be enough for him if I'm not this like hypersexual bitch, or like if I don't like have sex with him or like engage with him that way. Like I just feel like if I didn't have my body, or if I wasn't this like hypersexual person, or if I wasn't so sexual, like I feel like a lot of boys wouldn't even have talked to me in the first place. And with him in like an alternate universe, I would just want everything to be built off of romance. And like it sucks, because like I wish that like, obviously if you don't want to, you don't have to, but it's like we could have explored that romance way more than this little sexual energy we have towards each other, because I feel like the chemistry and the romance is way more fiery than whatever sexual energy we have going on between the two of us. It's been years, and like it's just like I wish that for once it was on some romantic shit and not some sex. So that's why I had to let that connection go. Like I'm still obviously like I think about him a lot still, but like as for communication, I had to end it, because that's not serving me at all. And you know, and I feel like that's the case for just a lot of guys. Do I still seek male attention sometimes? I really do. But honestly, it's a process and and I'm showing a lot of progress. So that's all that matters, and I'm happy that I'm getting there, you know? I have pride that I still have my virginity. I'm not trying to like one up anybody or say like, oh, you're a whore, or like, oh, like I'm better than you, like at all. This is an internal thing. It's just for myself. I am so positive. I believe in hookup culture and all that. Like, all power to you in every way. But for me personally, I have pride in my virginity, obviously, because of what happened to me. I still feel like I have control of my virginity and who I give it to, and it's mine. I have the power to give it away if I want to or keep it. And it's like, it makes me feel good to know that. And also, I don't know, I don't feel like I've met or came across anybody that's worthy for my virginity. So it just makes me feel good that I have something that's mine, that I still have a chance, I guess, to give it to somebody that deserves it. I never engaged with these men physically. It was all like over like online or like little flirty shit in real life, but like I never actually like had sex with anybody before. And it's like, I feel like that was like my angels protecting me, because it's like they know that I've had a lot of trauma and bullshit and like a bunch of just like, yeah, trauma, like trauma throughout my life. And I feel like they want me to actually give myself away to somebody who actually deserves it and is worth my time and worth my love and affection and things like that. And I've debated like losing my virginity a few times, and I thank God that I never actually gave it to those people, because they did not deserve it at all. And it's like, I feel like they were protecting me and saving me for the right person, because I deserve that beautiful experience, and I deserve to see sex in a positive, beautiful, loving way, in the way that it's supposed to be, in its truest, intimate form. And if it's gonna take a while for me to get there, you know, I'm willing to wait. I've waited 19 years, you know what I mean? I appreciate them for that, really, because literally, like, there was this one time where like I was supposed to hang out with this guy like a bunch of times, but every single time we were supposed to hang out, it fell through every single time. And I got so upset because I liked him so much and I wanted to actually like hang out with him, but every single time something would come up, either for me or for him. We could never hang out because something would always go wrong. And I think that was my angels really protecting me. Like, I appreciate them and I love them so much. I haven't told the story. Maybe I will one day, but like, you know, you're not alone, and I'm here, and you know, I'm here for you, and I'm here with you. I just wanted to have an open conversation about this and not have anxiety while talking about it, and being completely open and creating a safe space for myself to talk about these things, because these things are okay to talk about. And I feel like in order to heal, it's necessary to talk about these things, you know, and to be in a state where it is okay to talk about. I love you guys so much. Thank you for hearing me, and I love you. Bye.